Okay, sorry. Hi, Hector. My name is Alyssa. It's so nice to meet you today. You can have a seat wherever you feel most comfortable.
All right, I'm gonna take a seat over here.
All right, perfect. Before we start, I just want to let you know that everything we talk about is going to be confidential. Nothing will leave this room unless I think you're going to be a harm to yourself or others. You did sign a confidentiality paper before this, so I just obviously just want to clear that up and before we get started.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So, Hector, how are you feeling today?
Well, it's definitely a little rough, been some ups and downs, but I'm hoping to make some changes.
Kind of tell me about your injury and what has been happening the past few months.
So, I was recently injured in an automobile accident about 5 months ago. I did had to spend 4 months in the hospital. Definitely was not great. One of my legs and my hip suffered permanent damage, and as you can see, I have a cane right now, and I'll probably have to use that for the rest of my life. And I'm walking with a limp, and in my right arm, I have limited mobility as well as my shoulder, and I can't lift anything heavy. So it's definitely been really hard.
So you've obviously been angry and just angry with life basically after everything that's been happening.
Yes, I guess that's a good way to describe it.
So what has been the hardest part post your injury? Kind of.
The hardest part is not being able to work.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. What has your kind of day to day been like post injury?
Well, since I can't really do anything, I don't have limited mobility in my arms, my shoulders, can't lift anything heavy. So, and even though I can't work right now, it's a main part of my job. So, since I'm out of work, I can't do anything. I just wake up, try to get downstairs, eat something, and then I'm just on the couch the whole day.
So you kind of just wake up, eat breakfast, and then you're kind of just you're put on the couch the whole entire day.
Yeah, I can't do anything.
So it does seem like you're a little bit depressed and angry, frustrated, just overall about everything that's been happening.
Yeah, definitely frustrated, angry.
It kind of seems like you've lost a little bit of a big part of who you are and your identity because of your injury.
Yeah, I definitely, if you were to ask me 5 months ago what I'd be doing now, I would never tell you what I'd be doing, laying on the couch doing nothing. It's just not me.
And it feels like you're stuck and not yourself.
Yeah, I'm stuck. I can't get out of this funk.
So I'm gonna kind of go a little bit backwards and ask you about your cultural beliefs and how you grew up and just things about like what your cultural beliefs are and like what you value in life.
So I did grow up in a Hispanic household. My dad had a construction company. Obviously, I worked for him, and I just grew up in a culture where, the husband, the father provides to everybody, makes sure that everyone is taken care of. The wife shouldn't have to work. You're the sole provider of your family, and in this situation right now, I can't do anything.
So what does it mean to you to be a provider in your family?
Somebody that can take care of the house, the needs, my wife, my kids, without having anybody have to do my work for me. My wife shouldn't have to work. I should be the one that takes care of everybody.
It seems like providing for your family is obviously very important to you, and since you haven't been able to do that for the past 4 to 5 months, you do feel like you're stuck and you kind of can't get out of it.
Yeah, entirely. I'm stuck.
And it feels just painful because you're watching your wife go to work and you can't really help her in that situation.
Exactly. It's embarrassing.
So throughout your day, kind of take me throughout the day, like when do you feel the most overwhelmed or down?
I would say at nighttime when everybody comes home, they're all doing their own thing, and I just open up the cabinet and I make myself a drink, but it's just really overwhelming with everybody back in the house, and I'm just angry with myself.
It kind of seems like since you are alone throughout your day, when everyone comes back, you kind of just don't want to speak to anybody. You kind of just want to close everything off, not ask anybody any questions, not have them ask you any questions. And like at nighttime is when you kind of feel the heaviest about yourself.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I did ask you to fill out a audit questionnaire prior to the session, kind of more about the alcohol and the alcohol consumption. Is it okay if we kind of go over it together and I kind of go one by one throughout the questions and talk to you about it?
That'd be okay with me.
Perfect. Um, so, uh, how often do you drink alcohol throughout the week?
I'd say every night during the week,
Every night. Okay. And then how many drinks do you have typically a day?
about 4 to 5.
4 to 5. Okay. And then how often do you have six or more drinks on one occasion?
Pretty often.
Like, would you say weekly?
Yeah, definitely weekly.
Okay. And then how often have you found that when you started drinking, you couldn't stop?
Most nights.
Most nights. Okay. But it doesn't lead into kind of like drinking all night long.
No, no. Eventually I'm able to get to bed. So it's not like an all-night occasion. It's just, by myself. So it's definitely quite a few.
Right. And then how often have you failed to do what was normally kind of expected of you because of drinking?
All the time. I feel like I just can't do anything. And then once I start drinking, I'm not in the right headspace.
And then how often do you feel like waking up the next morning and kind of drinking immediately in the morning?
I don't really run into that problem when I wake up. I'm not drinking right away, especially because my kids are getting ready for school. My wife is getting ready to leave. And I just don't want to be in a situation like that where they can see that
Okay. And then how often have you felt guilt or remorse after drinking?
all the time. It just puts bad thoughts in my head.
Yeah. And then how often have you been unable to remember what happened the night before after drinking?
Mm, I'd say some nights are a little bit blurry, but I try not to get to that point.
Okay. Have you or someone else been injured from
No,
drinking? Okay.
no.
And then has a relative, friend, or a doctor kind of suggested that you cut down on alcohol?
Yeah, especially my wife. She can see that I'm going down a pretty dark hole here, and obviously it upsets her to see because I was never like this before.
Hmm.
So she definitely expresses concern to me and wants me to seek help, which is why I'm here today. But it's becoming a huge problem, and I need to find a solution.
So now that we kind of went through some of those questions, how does it make you feel that to actually see your answers on a piece of paper in front of you and also kind of talk about your answers out loud?
I'd say it's definitely eye-opening. I've never filled one of these out before, so just writing my answers down and then talking about it, it just makes it seem so real.
Um, what role would you say alcohol plays in your life?
I would say pretty much just numbs and suppresses myself.
And then I'll ask you this. Tell me one thing you like about drinking and one thing that you know has bad consequences when you drink.
Well, obviously, when I'm drinking, my mind is just elsewhere and it just numbs the pain of everything. It makes me feel okay for somewhat of a time, but obviously, there's a lot of bad consequences. Obviously, drinking is not good for you to begin with, but I also just feel like I'm not in control of myself anymore.
It kind of seems like alcohol is more like a coping mechanism for you, and what it's actually doing is it's causing you more stress and emotional de-stress. And it's obviously impacting a lot of things in your family and your relationships in your family too.
I would definitely say so. It's been really, really hard, not just on me, but especially my family.
Yeah. So what is the most important thing to you in your life right now?
I would definitely say my family,
Your family, like your wife and your
my
kids.
wife, my kids.
And then what kind of father and husband do you want to be?
I want to be someone that's present. Like I said, I provide for my family, make everybody happy, someone that they could be proud of, a role model for my kids.
And when you say those things, when you think about the drinking, how does drinking kind of play a role in that and affect it?
It negatively impacts that because I can't be the person I want to be in my family's life.
It's it's honestly great that you're able to talk about this and kind of realize what the problem is and say it out loud. And your family is obviously very important to you, and alcohol is getting in the way of your relationship with your wife and your kids too, and kind of being present with them as well.
Yeah, it's
So
been hard.
it's good that you realize it. Um, so I want, it sounds like you want to make the necessary changes though, small steps at a time. Obviously, we're not going to be making like huge steps overnight. Like
Right.
it's not realistic. Like
Yes.
you obviously want to set up goals where you could be present for your wife and your kids too. And um even though you may not feel completely ready to make a huge change, it's good that you're talking about it and you actually want to make a change in your life.
I definitely think, it's necessary, especially after what I've been going through now. I finally hit a breaking point, and obviously that's why I'm here today, but I definitely need to find a way to make a change because I can't keep living my life this way.
And then, Hector, let me ask you, what is most concerning to you about kind of going down a pattern like this?
I'm scared that I'll lose everyone that's important to me in my life, my wife, my children. They won't want to be around me anymore. And like I said, I want to be that role model for them. So those are really important things to me. And losing them would absolutely destroy me.
And then you think that if you make a small change, things will start to change in your life for the better.
I definitely think so. Like you said, though, I have to start with small changes and then eventually I'll get to where I need to be.
Um, and like I just want to emphasize it to you, your desire to improve your family kind of situation at home and your emotional well-being is amazing too. It's amazing you can kind of realize that and talk about it. And we're going to get to the goal setting shortly about how we can kind of get there and stuff like that. So, what is one small change you feel like you can make?
Well, I'd like to start off by cutting down on the drinking. I feel like I'm most concerned about that, especially for my health.
So you tell me that you drink about 4 to 5 drinks a night.
Yeah, 4 to 5, sometimes maybe even six.
And then let's say whenever you and your family have dinner, let's say throughout the week, you kind of start lesser and lesser consuming alcohol, like kind of cutting it down a little bit. Instead of having 5 drinks a night, you have 1 to 2. Like it's completely normal for a 35-year-old to have a beer or a drink with dinner.
Right.
So let's say one goal you could kind of set for yourself is having a drink with dinner when you're at dinner with your family at the table at the kitchen table, just with dinner, and then after that not drinking any more drinks after that. Does that kind
Okay.
of seem like a realistic goal you can set for yourself?
Yeah, I definitely think I could do that. Obviously, with how much alcohol I'm consuming, it's difficult just to stop completely. So I think just limiting my intake is a good starting point for me.
And then with kind of being more present for your family, if your wife is cooking dinner, maybe kind of obviously like I don't know if you guys cook together, but kind of like
Yeah.
maybe being there while she's cooking dinner, kind of engaging in conversation a little bit more, asking her questions about her work day, and then also kind of going back to how I said it's okay to ask for help and kind of tell your wife how you feel too. Maybe she'll ask you more questions about your day. Even though if you like didn't have much going on, it's still nice to kind of engage in conversation with your loved ones. And I know it seems like you want to be doing that. So kind of just making that small change and just being able to have conversations with the closest people in your life. And then with your kids, you said you do like watching TV. Maybe you could ask them if they want to watch a movie with you. And obviously, your wife can watch a
Yeah.
movie too.
Okay.
Have like a family movie night.
Okay.
Or also ask your kids what they're doing in school, what their homework is. Kind of, even if you don't know how to help them with schoolwork, kind of just engage in conversation with them too. And just it'll show them that you care and it'll want them to show care back to you, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I definitely think that could be positive.
And you think that you can do that.
Yeah, I definitely could do that, and I want to do that.
It's amazing to say it out loud that you want to change, and it's a strong and it's a realistic step forward, and how you can move forward in your life too.
Right.
Um, so kind of the key points that we went over was obviously your injury and how your injury led into the consumption of alcohol, and like how alcohol has been more of a coping mechanism to you than anything else. It's kind of a little bit taking over your life, and then it's affecting obviously your relationship with your wife and your kids,
Hmm.
and you are realizing that you want to be better, and you're setting realistic goals for yourself, and just it's amazing to have you say the things that you're saying, where you're saying I want to be better and I want to change. And I just want to ask you, after speaking to me today, how do you feel?
It definitely felt like a weight has been lifted off my shoulder and that I was able to vocalize how I'm feeling and then being able to discuss solutions. Like I said, this is still very new to me and I'm not really one to talk about my feelings. So being able to come here and, like I said, explain how I'm feeling and then talk about solutions, I definitely think was very helpful.
I do want to say one thing to you. I want to kind of give you a small little homework assignment throughout the week. I
Okay.
do want to see you again next week too. So
Okay.
we'll figure out a time for you to come in next week. We can have a full, more in-depth conversation and stuff like that. But for your homework assignment, I'm going to say homework assignment, but I want you to kind of track the amount of alcohol kind of consumption
Okay.
you're going to consume throughout the week.
Okay.
Obviously, set a goal for yourself, 1 to 2 drinks. If you think that's realistic, then I'm going to be happy with that, and you're going to be
Hmm.
happy with that. But also, I want you to kind of jot down how you're feeling too.
Okay.
Like if you do engage more in conversation with your family, like you can write it down in a journal. See how you're feeling.
All
See
right.
how those thoughts kind of, you're going to be a little bit more clear-headed, and jot down how much you're going to be drinking. It's obviously, I'm not going to be like, don't drink a lot, don't drink a lot, but kind of just like see if you can go forward with this goal. And then come next week, you'll tell me how much obviously you were drinking throughout the week and how your family situations have been happening throughout the week too. And again, it's okay to ask for help. And I want you to remember that. And I want you to be able to like go home and kind of open up a little bit. Obviously, not immediately, but open up a little bit to your family members too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, this is has been super, super helpful for me. I will definitely take all of your suggestions into consideration, and I think we can, make a big step and big change in going forward.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm proud of you, Hector. I know we
Thank
just
you.
met, but I'm excited to move forward and to see how you blossom and how your these goals are gonna affect your life in a positive way. And it was amazing to meet you, and I'm looking forward to our next session together.
Thank you, Alyssa. It's been great, and I do appreciate your time with me today. I definitely feel like this has helped me a lot, and just being able to talk and explain how I'm feeling has been really beneficial for me. So I do want to thank you so
Of
much.
course, Hector. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Wait, should I
Stop
stop
recording
recording?
first. Yes.